Welcome to an all-new episode of Unpacked. We are here with our very first live studio audience. Come on, would you guys We are so glad to have you joining us and all of you here. We are starting a brand new series. We're doing something new, and you'll see we'll be doing it for the rest of the year. We have a lot of things in store for you, and so we are looking forward to it. We have a very special topic that we are talking about. Tim has been preaching on, or is going to be, he started today actually preaching on a marriage series called Upset the Vows. And guess what? We're unpacking it every week with him. So our special guest this week is none other than Tim Ross. Hi, baby.
Hi, I love him.
I love you.
Yes.
Listen, you are going to be sitting on this couch with me for the next 9 weeks.
That's right.
I am hyped about it.
I might extend the whole series just to make this go longer.
Baby, extend it.
I'll sit next to you wherever.
Come on. Well, then come sit over here with me.
Girl. Listen now.
I don't know how these shows are going to go with him sitting right here. So I don't know.
We flirt a lot.
I'm sorry.
We do flirt a lot.
We totally flirt.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I am thrilled, and I hope you guys are prepared for what we are about to embark on. This is a very long, I'll say sort of exhaustive marriage series that you probably would get in a bit of an intensive setting. But we're doing it in these church settings, and we're taking Unpack to go ahead and unpack it a little bit deeper and a little bit more. We're also going to be, after we're done here, we're also going to be answering some of your questions that you guys have sent in just on this very first week. And we'll do that every week. And then in the end, we can either sum up some and gather questions from all the weeks that maybe we didn't get a chance to answer. Maybe you have questions that if you send it in, maybe we'll get to see it. Maybe we'll get to see it, but maybe we'll get to answer it. We'll see. But keep listening to the sermons and keep watching Unpacked. We're going to answer questions as best as we can. And we just hope that your marriage gets stronger. Mm-hmm. We hope that God is going to touch you. We pray that you guys would receive all the things that we have to say, or really that God is speaking with humility and with the level of self-awareness. But we are praying for your marriage. We're praying for your ministry. We're praying for your family. So let's start, honey. Let's dig into this marriage series, Upset the Vows. Are you excited?
I'm super excited.
Honey, you couldn't sleep last night.
No, I could not sleep last night. I know
you were up. He was so excited. He was like, is it time for me to start preaching yet? Like, he just couldn't wait.
Yeah. So, last year when the Lord started putting marriage on my heart, it got so heavy for me. Yeah. And I didn't know at the time that it was going to wind up being like a 9-week series. Yeah. I thought it would maybe be 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But the more I got into it, like the more the Holy Spirit had to say.
Yeah.
And so even starting with this first message, what's your secret? It was all about laying the foundation. I felt like I poured gallons of concrete today that the Holy Spirit set in people's feet before they could even get up, right?
Absolutely.
Like it dried so quick.
Absolutely.
But the foundation has to be an understanding of what our marriages are really about.
Nothing can be built without a solid foundation. Yeah. And I think you did a great job today.
Thank you.
I'm not just saying that because you're cute and you got good looking braids now. But no, you did a great job laying the foundation. And the next 8 weeks or more, you're going to be building on that. Yeah. But I thought today was great. You're showing what the essence of marriage looks like. And biblically, this is what a successful marriage would look like, is if we understand what God did, what Christ did for his church. Yeah. And how he did it is what regular interactive marriage should be. Yeah. So listen, I want to know from you and anybody watching, if you all still have questions, I want you typing them in, sending them to Unpacked at Embassy, or even you can text Unpack the Vow to 94,000, because I want to hear your questions on this. We're going to be unpacking for a while. But today, you talked about what's your secret. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a really good topic of starting with what's the secret to marriage, because that seems like that's what everybody wants to know. Would you agree? Most people want to know What's the secret to a successful marriage?
Yeah.
And I thought you did an amazing job talking about the secret is reading this book.
Yeah.
And seeing what Christ did for us.
Yeah.
From Genesis to Revelation.
That's right.
From the very beginning.
Yeah.
The sacrifice he made.
Yeah.
From the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And what we need to do. You made some really great points today. You said, and you made us write it down. Who wrote it down? Did anybody write it down? Okay, good. Making sure you guys are
note takers. Nerds rule the world.
Note takers, yes. You made a great point today. You talked about sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And you said sacrifice keeps the person. You sacrifice something to keep the person.
Mm-hmm.
You
compromise to keep something.
To keep the thing that you
to keep
want.
The thing. That's
I
right.
wrote it down too.
Yeah.
I took notes. I'm a good wife. I want everybody to see that. I'm a good wife. I took notes. I'm my husband's servant.
Yeah.
But I did write it down. It was good. So tell me, doing this series today, compromise keeps something you value.
Yeah.
Sacrifice keeps someone you value.
Yep.
I thought that was really powerful.
Yep.
And it's the truth. And I feel like in about 22 years of marriage, being with you 23 years, we've done both, huh?
Yes, absolutely we have.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, when I think back just in our marriage, I came into the marriage with a view that wasn't quite as clear as what I taught today, right? This is the wonderful thing about the time that you walk with a person. The more you walk with that person, the clearer your revelation of Christ becomes.
That's right.
When you think about people that don't stay committed to their commitment,
Yes.
all they're doing is short-circuiting their revelation of Christ.
That's right. That's good.
Every time they jump into a new relationship. And so in our almost 22 years now, I have such a clearer picture of my role as an illustrator of Christ's love for his church by the way that I love you and what sacrifice truly looks like. It truly isn't sacrifice until it feels like sacrifice.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of people like sacrifice in theory.
That's right.
But they don't like sacrifice in application.
Because it hurts.
Because
it's painful.
Death.
That's right. That's right.
And so even, I'll give you an example just from a couple of days ago when you said, hey, I want to, reset the living room and I want you to put these decorations up. And you took the time to, pack everything up, and my ankle was hurting, and I said I was going to do it the next day. And I sat down, and I was literally thinking about this sermon. I was literally thinking about, I'm supposed to sacrifice for her. And so even though I didn't feel like doing it, you had did your part, and I gave you my word that I would do it. And even though you were accommodating, you were like, hey, if your ankle's hurt, do it in the morning. For some reason, right then and there, I'm like, no, I want to practice what it is to be sacrificial for my wife. And even though that sounds like, oh, okay, you just did a chore, the little things, if you're faithful in those,
that's right.
Then you'll be faithful to the bigger things.
That's absolutely right. Those little things are good practice.
Yeah. And I felt so good after I did it.
Yeah.
Right? Like after I did it, I'm like, well, while I was doing it, I'm like, I was going up there and I felt my ankle. My ankle was like, why is you doing this?
Yes.
Right?
I was looking at him like, why is you doing this?
But what I was thinking to myself is, this is how much I love her.
Oh.
Like I love her enough to do this right now. Because I didn't want you thinking about it later. So the practicality of what sacrifice looks like can be found in the everyday routine of marriage.
Absolutely.
Most people, I always say this as it relates to couples, married couples, is the strength of our relationship is found in the beauty of the mundane.
100%.
It's not the epic vacations that you took and the expensive gifts that you bought each other.
That's right.
That brings relational equity to the marriage. It's the good morning. Hey, what's your day going to look like? Here's what I'm going to be doing. I'll call you when I get to work.
Would you like breakfast?
Would you like breakfast?
What can I get for you today?
Yep. How are the kids?
Absolutely.
I'll be home at 5.
Right.
What do you want for dinner? Do you want me to pick anything up for you?
Simple things.
Those simple, routine things.
That's right.
Over time
100.
is why our relationship is so tight.
That's right.
If it was built on vacations
right.
and expensive items, we would be a mile wide and an inch deep.
That's right.
But there's a well
Yeah.
that we are refreshed by
That's right.
because we dug it.
Yes, we did. We did.
We dug it.
We dug a deep well too, huh, baby?
We did.
Yes, honey.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
No, it is true. And it is those little small things that seem almost redundant or almost too simplistic. But I think oftentimes we overcomplicate. You know, so just like you're saying, oh, if I don't buy my wife the most expensive purse, or if I don't take her on the most expensive vacation, or if I'm not constantly serving my husband breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know, like it's not about that. It's about just the small, considerate things. Honey, I'll take the kids today. You know, how about you do this? I'll get the dishes. You know, you do this. Let's share simple duties, sharing the chores, and not having an expectation of, well, this is your duty and this is your duty. I don't play them duty roles. Okay, what I do, what we come on. I got a cheer from the audience. Yes. No, I don't believe in duty roles, but I do think that we do things together. And that's what we've always said, is we just do things together. And the simple things of, you know, just making up the bed or just being considerate, those things go a long way. But when you have an expectation, oh, they should be doing something for me. Or they should be doing that because that's what they're supposed to do. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. And when we start off with that mentality, the relationship will tend to drift separately, then get closer together.
Well, you know, a lot of times what happens is one of the biggest things that's not considered when a couple gets married is that your thinking of marriage was shaped
for sure
by your parents.
For sure. And society.
And society. Whether it was a good marriage or a bad marriage, it's not the issue. It's whatever you saw is what you're going to pattern. A lot of times people come from marriages where gender roles were very, very clearly defined.
100%.
The husband does this, the wife does that. And there's an expectation that you walk into marriage that you don't communicate.
That's right.
There's an assumption.
This is what we always talk about.
It. Uncommunicated expectations. Yeah, uncommunicated expectations are the biggest destroyers of marriages.
Yes, it is.
Above infidelity, above above finances. Yes, it is. It is me thinking you're going to do something and getting mad that you didn't.
And not saying anything.
Right, exactly. By the power of my brain,
that's right.
You should have known
that's right.
that I wanted steak tonight.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And the fact that you didn't give it to me is a personal affront on my person, and now I'm mad at you.
Right.
But I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to passively, aggressively, you know, act out in a way. Then when you ask me what's the matter, I'm going to say nothing.
Right.
And then we're going to wind up in marriage counseling.
In marriage counseling.
Hopefully.
Or I'm going to have an attitude with you.
Right.
Because you got an attitude.
Right.
And so since you got an attitude, then I got an attitude because I don't know why you got an attitude.
Right.
And it's just a domino effect of pettiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's petty. And then now you've went a day, you've went an evening, you've went a few days, you've went a week without speaking to each other over something so trivial and dumb because something wasn't communicated. And this is something Tim and I talk about all the time. It is called uncommunicated expectations. And it has plagued many marriages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many marriages, for sure.
You know, it was in our marriage. It exists in everybody's marriage.
It exists.
But until you get comfortable having the conversations that you don't want to have, you will keep being disappointed.
That's right.
That your spouse is not doing what you would like them to do.
That's right.
But as with most relationships early on, the love that's there doesn't want to offend. And one of the statements that I always make when we form a baseline of marriage counseling is that you can't say that you actually love someone until you can risk offending them.
That's right. And that is something that you always say. And let's be clear on what he's saying. there are things that we can say and share with each other. It's just how you do it.
That's correct.
It's just how you do it. It's about having healthy communication with each other and how it is said. It's not really what you're saying. It's just how you're saying it is what really makes all the difference, whether the person is going to receive it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a simple thing that we would do all the time. And when we do marriage counseling with couples, we always say this to them. It's a very simple, almost elementary tool that we give couples all the time. And yet it's so elementary, most couples don't do it. It's almost like, that seems so silly. But if you can't even do that, then you can't do the harder things we're going to ask you to do. Right. So simple things like I could be, maybe if I said something to Tim, it was two things. I could say, hey, Tim, can you, I don't know, can you get me some dinner? But you may be like, this girl know I don't cook. You know, like the thing of like, why would she ask me that? She knows I don't know how to cook, right? So then.
I don't know how to cook?
No, well, you do, but like breakfast. Breakfast foods and baked chicken.
You're right.
Breakfast foods and baked chicken.
I can bake some chicken.
You can.
That's very true.
So he probably should do it a little bit more, right? Come on, give it a round for Tim baking some more chicken.
I'll bake some chicken if you want me to.
But basically what I'm saying is that we do tools. And a tool is basically, I'm just giving a simple example, but what I'm saying is if I'm trying to explain something to you, but I want to be so clear in what I'm saying, I may say something like, this is what I said, but how did it land on you?
That's correct.
And then he may say, well, you're telling me to go make you some food and you know I don't know how to cook, so I feel some kind of way about it. Then I would go back and say, okay, I didn't mean to say that. What I'm saying is, honey, I'm really hungry and I'm so tied up in what I'm doing. Is there any possible way that you could just get me anything to eat for the next 5 minutes until I get myself something? Basically what I'm saying is, I want to make sure that what I'm saying is landing on him the way I'm saying it, and there's not an offense being taken because he's not understanding what I'm communicating.
Right.
And so we reinforce, how did that land on you? Or what did you hear me say? What did you hear me say when I said that? And if he says something totally different, then I'll say, okay, no, I didn't mean that. Let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
That's a tool that we use. And another tool that we use is, we don't talk to each other past this tone.
Yep, that's right. We literally set a volume in our marriage that we won't go past.
From 21 Jump Street, when we first got married, my mother and father used to argue and fight all the time. And I said, this is one thing that we will not do. We will not do this. So if you can't talk to me at this pace, then I'm not the one for you.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And from that point on, if there was anybody going up here, it was probably me. I was probably fussing at him. But we kept this same pace because it was just something that we decided to do.
Yeah.
And so what we teach people in counseling as well is set a volumed pace.
Yeah.
Right? Because then I can receive from you. If you get too high, I'm going to tune you out.
That's absolutely correct.
I'm not going to hear you because
that's absolutely correct.
You're not my mom. You're not my dad. You're not going to be yelling at me. So I'm going to tune you out. So let's stay here at this pace. And if you get too high, here's the simple gesture. We're just going to do this. Right? I'm not telling you to shut up. I'm just saying, please bring your volume down a little bit so I don't tune you out. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And that lets the other person know, okay, I'm too high.
Yeah.
I'm too high.
And I needed that. I needed that in our relationship because I'm a very passionate person. And when I get passionate about something, I get loud. And so there would be times where you would go, why are you yelling though? And I'm like, I ain't yelling. This ain't, I know when I'm yelling, this ain't yelling. And we had to calibrate, you know, and what it helped me do is it helped me to become more in tune with my heart. Because I could feel my heart racing, my cheeks would get flushed, my ears would heat up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there is some emotion here. I am passionate, but if I carry my voice there, you're not going to hear me.
Right.
Like we will lose communication.
Correct.
If I try to get my way.
Right.
I'm not yelling.
Right.
I'll let you know when I'm yelling, and this ain't it.
Right.
You'll know when I'm loud. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
That's combative, and it goes nowhere. So establishing those boundaries, those rules of engagement just helped us to communicate better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about is still on the subject of what Tim spoke about today. Because all of these little things that we're doing in our marriage, which actually seem little, even if it's not a sacrifice, it's just the reflection of Christ's love.
Correct. Absolutely.
It is the
You're right.
reflection of Christ's love. And it is being self-aware. I am aware that I'm getting fluttered, that my heart is beating fast. I'm getting aware that I am doing this. Let me slow down and pay attention. Let me hear what she's saying. Let me listen to what he's saying. It is an awareness that says, let me humble myself and let me pay attention to what's going on. This is what Christ is teaching us in his word. These are just, what's the secret?
Yeah.
These are the answers to the secret.
So you saying that just made me think about something, Boo. When it says that Jesus was touched in all points yet without sin, that was about him relating to us.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Being touched with the feeling of our infirmities, that was about him relating to us. There is over and over again the strongest implication that Christ is empathizing with us.
Right.
Even though he has never been in our situation in terms of encountering or an act of sin or sinning, he can empathize with us, which is why he can intercede for us.
Right. That's right.
Right now. And in the same way, in marriage, I have to put myself in your shoes. I have to see me through your eyes, and know that you might be experiencing me a completely different way.
That's right.
Than I think.
That's right.
I'm displaying or portraying to you.
Yes.
And so the more I empathize and the more that I listen.
Come on.
Because you can't empathize talking.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
You can only empathize listening. The more I empathize with you, the more I listen to you, the more I understand what you are experiencing, how you are experiencing it, and then what I can do to change so that we can actually be connected.
And that is with the spouse or the other person, again, being self-aware.
Correct.
And being humble enough to receive and say, and admit that, am I coming across this way? I don't see it, but okay, what do I need to do to, you know, it's all about that self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're really talking about being self-aware and being humble enough to admit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to receive what they're saying without being defensive.
That's exactly right.
That's
exactly right.
Oftentimes we, someone is trying to maybe share how they're feeling, how they're experiencing a person, and these defense walls come up immediately. And so when you're trying to share it, because these walls go up, those words just start bouncing off that, you know, and so now the person's not receiving it. And it's not about attacking. It's just about, just hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we can grow and get past this. Yeah. But I know that there are very many marriages out there that they can't get their spouse to receive what they're saying. They can't get their spouse to listen. They can't get their spouse to see themselves. So that'll be something in one of the Q&As. We're going to have some Q&As afterwards that we want to know, how do we, I want to bring up the question. I'm going to ask you, how do we get the spouse to, how do we get the spouse to listen?
Hey, listen, early on, you need a mediator.
You need a mediator. Correct.
Early on, you need a third. You need a third party.
Yeah.
I'm astounded by the amount of people that were, you know, kind of dead set on, we got to have premarital counseling, but don't want to have any postmarital counseling.
Don't want to do the follow-up. 100%.
It's ridiculous.
100%.
Right? Like that would be like test driving a vehicle, purchasing the vehicle, and then never taking it in for maintenance.
Correct. Never getting the oil changed.
Never getting the oil changed. never getting the tires rotated.
Never.
It's just like, hey, I bought the car and I'm just going to ride it till the wheels fall off.
And that's what we do with our marriages.
If you don't rotate your tires, your wheels are going to fall off.
That's right.
Right? So
and even if things are going good, just go for the checkup.
you should always bring your car in when there's nothing wrong.
That's right.
That will keep it from
falling apart,
blowing up in your face.
Yes.
If you come into the car dealership with black smoke coming from under the hood, you waited too long.
You waited too long.
And most people only use postmarital counseling for crisis.
For crisis.
They don't use it for maintenance.
We get that all the time.
And because they don't use it for maintenance, this is my favorite story on maintenance, and it's personal because it affected me deeply. So I wore braces like a good little boy from 13 to 15 years old, right? And I'm a rule follower by nature. I like following rules. And so the rules were wear your braces, brush your teeth after every meal, and in 2 years, you'll get it off, right? Mm-hmm. And this wasn't like Invisalign, all the cute stuff they have now.
Right.
This is the gate, right? My teeth were behind bars, right? And with the cement on it and all of this stuff. So I wore them for 2 years. I get the gate off. And after 2 years, and they hand me a retainer. And I put the retainer in, and it was just a saliva-producing tool in my mouth that I hated, right? Yeah. So I was always talking with a lisp. My mouth was just way too juicy.
Just wet.
I couldn't take it. I'm just drooling all over the place. I was so mad. So after about a week, I stopped wearing my retainer. Yeah. And a year later, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And a year after I got my braces off, the doctor called and was like, hey, you need to come in for your checkup. And I'm like, oh my goodness, my retainer. So I'm looking all over the house. I dive under the bed. There's 2 inches of dust on the blue little retainer holder. And I pop it open and I put the retainer in.
It did not fit.
It didn't fit. It kept popping out.
Yep.
Popping out. Gradually, my teeth shifted back.
That's right. Come on.
So even after 2 years of intensive restraint.
Hard work.
Yep. My parents' money.
That's right.
Without me wearing that retainer, my teeth slowly drifted back to the position that they were in.
That's right.
And so you can't go into marriage with your braces on.
Yes.
Premarital counseling.
Come on.
And do all the homework and read the book and study the workbook and then step into the marriage and not wear your retainer.
That's right. Come on.
Right?
That's
every 90 to 120 days, go back over that marriage book.
That's right.
Go meet with a counselor.
That's right.
Hey, let's go see the counselor. Where there's nothing wrong. Great. Then there shouldn't be nothing wrong when it'll last 30 minutes and we'll go out.
But both of you need to say nothing's wrong.
That's exactly right.
Right. It can't be one person speaking for both.
That's
saying
very good.
Nothing's wrong.
Yep.
No. Have you even asked your spouse if anything was wrong?
That's
Maybe
exactly
something
right.
did come up.
Yeah.
And maybe they did or did not share with you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know. And you don't want to assume because assumptions get you in all the trouble.
All of them.
So checkups, clear checkups. How are we doing?
Yep.
Today you spoke about marriage starting from Genesis, that God ordained it, because this book is a reflection of God's love. And it starts with marriage in Genesis. And you walked us through the Bible, and then you ended it in Revelation and how he depicts the bride that he's coming back for.
Yes.
You know, so talk to me more about that. When God was speaking to you about that, elaborate.
Girl, it was like winning the lottery, right? Because I've been around some incredible marriage messages, right? Pastor Jimmy Evans.
For sure.
I sit on the board of EXO, so I get a lot of marriage content all the time.
He fixed us pretty good too, huh?
Yeah, yes, he did. But when you start going in it for yourself, and especially to teach, the stuff that I've just been hearing, Jew, from the Lord, I'm like, I just feel like I'm winning the lottery every time I open the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that never dawned on me the way it's dawning on me now. Right. And a lot of times things are seasonal.
That's right.
This thing would have hit me at 2 years of marriage way different than it hit.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Going into our 22nd year.
That's right.
Which is why I still laugh at people that have been married less than a decade that got all the marriage advice for everybody, and they haven't even been through every season of nothing.
Can y'all see these cross-eyed?
and they ready to do a marriage workshop and a marriage retreat.
Yes.
And I'm like,
you ain't
even got out of summer yet.
That's right.
The leaves ain't changed on your tree.
Not at all.
One time, and you got all the, anyway.
You ain't had not one
this 22 years, y'all. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We got some history up in here now. So seeing God conduct a wedding.
Yes.
In the second chapter of the first book,
yes.
right? That depicts of all of creation.
Creation. He created marriage in the beginning.
He establishes it before he does pretty much anything else.
That's
I mean,
right.
after he creates the heavens and the earth and all the creatures, then he performs a wedding.
That's right.
It's the first institution that he puts on earth. That's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
And at the end of our Bible, the book of Revelation, for the last book to be the revelation of Jesus Christ, and the last thing we know is that the Spirit and the bride say, come.
Yes.
Everything was put in perspective for me in a way it hadn't been put there before.
Yeah.
And what it let me know is that everything between Adam and Eve and Christ and his church, as it relates to marriage, is supposed to be these mini snapshots.
That's right.
That have happened all throughout human history.
That's right.
That show Christ and his bride.
That's right.
Over and over again.
The ebbs and flow.
From generation to generation and
Correct.
generation, God has always wanted there to be a picture of Christ and his bride. Sinful, broken humanity has destroyed that picture.
That's correct.
Over and over and over again.
Yep.
There's biblical examples of that picture being destroyed.
Come on, let's
There's
hear it.
secular examples of that picture being destroyed. The stats on marriage now, 50% of marriages end in divorce. That picture is being destroyed for one reason and one reason only. Satan knows
Yes.
that if there is a healthy marriage, there will also be a clear picture illustrating Christ and his church.
That's right.
And of course, he doesn't want that picture to be illustrated clearly because more people would fall in love with Jesus.
That's right.
So,
it's a diabolical plan to destroy.
So you got him attacking marriages that are healthy to make sure they're unhealthy. He wants pornography to be in the marriages. He wants generational curses to be in the marriage. He wants lies to be in the marriages. He wants side chicks and infidelity and anger and distrust and abuse. And he will do anything to destroy that picture.
That's right.
And so...
and he'll do anything that's geared towards the bent of the individual.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Yeah.
he's not going to tempt you with nothing that ain't going to be...
That's exactly right.
something that's going to trigger you.
And if it's not going to be, something like an extramarital affair or something like that, the quickest way within a marriage to keep that marriage from looking like Christ is for the marriage to be selfish instead of selfless.
Correct.
And when you combat that and say, no, this is going to be the picture of Christ and his church.
No matter the cost.
No matter the cost.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling for the couple that decides to do that.
It is.
But when somebody came up to me after I preached the message, and they're single, and they said, based on that sermon, I do not want to get married, like ever. And I was like, fantastic.
There you go.
I'd rather you never get married with your eyes wide open.
That's right.
Than to get married with this fantasy in your head.
And ruin someone's life.
That's going to dissolve, right?
That's
within
right.
2 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So
don't ruin somebody's life.
Yeah,
if you're
don't.
Everybody may not be meant to be married.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Jesus wasn't married.
No, there's some people I know.
Right? Jesus was not married on earth. Jesus was not married on earth, and but he didn't live on earth alone. Right?
Sure.
So it's not good that man should be alone. That God says about Adam in Genesis chapter number 2 is not just a marital statement, it's a relational statement.
For sure. And
So
Jesus's picture was a much bigger, broader picture.
absolutely.
He was here to save.
That's correct.
This
The
bride.
entire world.
That's right.
The bride, right? So I say that just to say that when you are married, your spouse is the one that helps you look like Christ. Mm-hmm. When you are single, the church community is what steps in to make you look like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So true. It doesn't matter if you're single, you still get the revelation of marriage through the community
100%
that he came to redeem.
Well, and the Bible says he who findeth a wife, right? That means at that point they were single. And if you are being groomed by the community, you're being prepared for when you physically do get married. That's
absolutely correct.
You know,
that's one of the things I loved when I was a young adult pastor. You know, 85% of everybody that was in the young adult group were single.
Yeah.
But when they started dating, they made Friday night young adult service the dating spot.
That's
if
right.
you want to date me, you got to come to church.
That's right.
You have to be a part of my community.
That's right.
Because
it's shaping me on how to be
is going to
a
vet.
better me.
That's right. And this community will vet if you are right for me or not.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if I'm right for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There could be things that I'm working on.
Yeah.
You know, that's what a body does.
Yeah, absolutely.
There could be an area in my life that needs to be exposed, worked on, or I shouldn't be getting married with this. Mm-hmm. You know, with me still struggling with this, that wouldn't be a good look, you know?
Yeah.
Today, you brought up a great scripture that I believe you got this morning. It didn't even plan for it. It was in John.
Yes.
And you talked about the marriage in Cana.
Yes.
And you spoke about how, can you believe that the very first miracle that Christ did was at a marriage? And it is where it says God showed his glory.
The first time
at
Jesus revealed his glory
was at a marriage.
Was at a wedding.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is dope.
That was so good.
I was so hyped.
That was so good.
I'm still hyped right now. Because really, I mean, it never dawned on me again.
That's right.
I've read it before, but it never dawned on me the way it's dawning on me now, studying it, that Jesus reveals his glory in front of the picture.
Yeah.
That he would be the fulfillment of.
And it's continually affirming that God wants marriage. God loves marriage.
He loves marriage.
And he loves healthy marriages.
That's right.
And he's for it.
Yep.
And he's for you. And he's for you winning in your marriage.
It's good.
He's for it.
Yeah.
The question is, are you for it? Right? See, you have to be for it as well. And you have to do your part as well. And you can't expect the other person to constantly carry the load for you. Yeah. This is a shared, joint, triune venture
it is.
Between the couple and God here in the middle.
That's right.
And so that scripture was just so affirming that God is with you and he wants this to work.
So here's what I thought about. Ooh, okay.
Tell me the thought,
See?
love.
This is why I'm glad we get to unpack it, because I don't get to say all this when I'm preaching. So I was reading in my Jewish New Testament commentary.
Come on, Jewish New Testament commentary. I'm here for it.
On John 2, okay? He didn't turn he didn't get like 4 or 5 bottles where he turned gallons upon gallons upon gallons of water.
That's right.
Into wine.
That's right.
And it was better than the best wine that was at the wedding. And so
because again, wine is a symbol of celebration.
Absolutely. So here's the thing that I thought about, and I was like, oh, that's so good. That he was revealing his glory by the gallon.
You know, you got to do that old school rock. Come on. That's good, baby.
Is that not good?
That's good. That's good.
He was revealing his glory
by the gallon.
Lord have mercy. So a couple of containers wasn't going to do it.
No, come on.
In that moment, what he was showing was what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 years on this earth cannot be contained in something that you would use to contain me. A wine bottle will not do for this.
Come on.
Take the water pots.
Take the water pots. Yes, honey.
And fill them all up with water. And by the gallon, I will show you.
Yes.
You will still be drinking the best wine long after I'm gone.
Yes, honey.
3 weekends from now.
Come on. Come on.
Y'all will still be turning up.
Come on.
I have gone on my way to do something else, and you'll still have a reminder of what I did right now.
Come on.
And I think for somebody's marriage, I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but I feel it. Whoever I'm talking to right now, I want you to know there are gallons of glory for your wedding, for your marriage, if you would drink from what he is providing. He will turn your water into wine. He will turn your bitterness into joy. He will turn your sadness into gladness. He will turn your hell into hope. If you would just allow him to get into your marriage, he would turn something that could not make you happy into something that will give you everlasting joy. All right, I just felt like...
Speak to the people now. Come on.
I just felt like I should have...
You just talk to them. Talk to the people.
Should have said that.
Yeah, you did. And that was very encouraging. Was that encouraging to you all? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Come on, baby. That's sexy, boo.
Love you.
Oh, goodness. No, listen, that is incredible. That is so good. He is going to constantly fill your jugs.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on, that is so encouraging, because I know that there are many people watching right now who their marriage feels empty. Yeah. And their marriage feels like it's dying, it's watered down, there's no life in it, there's no substance. But God is speaking a word to you right now, just as Tim just said, that God is going to show his glory in your marriage, not your wedding. A wedding is a ceremony that you celebrate for one day in front of people, but your marriage is this lifelong commitment. Yeah. And so God is going to do something in you. You guys stay encouraged. And even when it seems like it's getting bleak, he's going to fill that thing. That's right. He's going to fill those pots up for you. Yeah, I know it. That's so good, baby. Now, you had some other points. I took notes. I'm going to get my little notebook out. Let's see what else we had going on today. That marriage is God's metaphor for love. Do you remember that?
I do. Marriage is God's metaphor for unity. Marriage is God's metaphor for sacrifice, and marriage is God's metaphor for love. Yeah. It's his illustration. That's what marriage reveals that's how marriage reveals Jesus.
I think sometimes the hard part with some couples, if they are not maybe biblically sound, or maybe constantly in their Bible, or maybe you're a new believer, or maybe you're not married to one that believes, they may find that maybe hard to grasp, right? If they don't really know the depth of what you're saying. So sometimes when we say words, we feel like we have the same understanding or the same definition of what it is, but actually not everybody has their definition of a word because of their experiences actually relate to something different. Yeah. So when you say God's marriage is God's reflection of love, well, if somebody has seen love displayed in an unhealthy way, but it's always been characterized by the word love, and then they begin to act out on that, well, then they're saying, this is what I'm doing because it's what they know, right? It's what they know. And this is how I love. I love with beating. I love with this. I love with that, because that could just be what they saw. It's unhealthy. How do we get someone, and it might not be an answer that you know, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but I'm just saying is, what can we do to get people to understand that you have to see that your love or your definition of love might not be what God's definition of love is. Yeah. And how do we go in and challenge a person to really see what is God saying about what love looks like? Yeah. Because you may think you may think your perspective of it is everything. Yeah. But actually it's killing the one you love. Yeah.
So the best working definition of love as it relates to what we should find in marriage is action.
Yes,
right.
Good.
Love is action.
That's right.
Right. For God so loved the world that he gave.
Yes.
It's an action. Giving is an action.
Yes.
Love is not a feeling.
Come on.
We've counseled too many couples that have said, well, I'm just not in love anymore. I don't feel the same way I felt.
Yep. Now break that down,
We
because
don't-
that's good.
Yeah,
Let's break that down.
We don't care nothing about what you feel.
That's right. Because your feelings change, and
Yeah,
they're one of the
you're-
most unstable things in your
Absolutely.
entire body is
Absolutely.
your feeling.
You feel hungry, then you don't feel hungry.
Right.
And then you
feel happy.
You feel happy, then you don't feel happy.
Yeah.
You feel mad, then you don't feel mad.
You're temperamental.
Yeah. We are temperamental beings.
Yeah.
That
That feeling can go away
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
5 seconds.
Yeah. Next week, my message is on vows.
Okay.
And I'll be actually reading the wedding vows that.
All right, then we'll answer that next week.
Yeah, no. But I'm just in
Yeah, I know.
context.
Yes,
In context, I just feel like when we don't see love as an action and we only see it as a feeling,
That's
then we
right.
only show up when we feel like it.
Come on. Come on.
And if you only show
We got
up,
some snaps over here. Come on. We're here for the snaps.
and when you only show up when you feel like it,
That's right.
you could be missing massive opportunities to connect with your spouse.
That's right.
Because you just don't feel like it today.
That's
Love is action.
Yep.
Love,
Even when you don't feel
I don't
like
feel like
it.
doing this, but I'm doing this because I love you.
That's right.
And my love is actually displayed. You know I love you because of what I did.
100%.
Not just how I felt or what I said, but what I did.
Now, I'm going to add to that. Tag me in, tag me in. All right, so what I'm going to add to that is, even in the action, though, it still needs to be sort of replicated in your verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're going to do it with the action, but your attitude is terrible,
Oh, no.
then I don't want it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
I don't
the
want
the
it.
example I always give is, if you said, "Hey, honey, I would love some flowers." That's one of the ways that I
Yeah.
would feel loved. My language is, gifts.
Yeah.
One of my love languages, gift. If I walked in with a dozen roses and said, "Here,"
And just threw them at me.
you would be like, and then I'm like, "Well, you said you wanted some roses."
Right.
Well, yeah, but not like that.
Right.
I don't want the roses like that. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean?
That's right.
So it is action, and it is how you display that action.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, again, I talked about it today, and it's worth reiterating. You're going to die.
That's right.
If you do marriage right, you are going to die.
And
You're-
that should be a good thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a good
I
thing.
promise you, you're not as cool as you think. You're not as put together as you think. You're not as awesome as you think. And you would never know that until your spouse, who is you, told you, you kind of suck at this.
Yeah.
Like, you're not that awesome, right?
Right, right.
And again, I always, I'm a literal person, and when I read the Bible, it's literal. And so when it says the two become one, I take that literally. So Juliet is me. She's just the way more fascinating, gorgeous side of me. But I don't look at her as a person independent of me. She is me with a womb. She is the womb man of me. God brought this person to me, and I stood in front of someone who represented God and you and witnesses and said that I was going to love you in action,
That's right.
not just in feeling.
That's right.
So my commitment and my vow is not to what I knew about you when I married you.
For sure.
My commitment and my vow was to the unknown about you,
That's right.
that I was never going to find
That's
out
right.
until after I said I do.
That's right. That's right.
And so love has to keep showing up as an action, or you risk having that fleeting love that expires
Yeah.
when times get hard.
Yeah. And that's how you have a successful marriage. If you take that exact thing, what Tim is saying, and both parties are doing that.
That's right.
Both parties are doing that.
That's right.
It causes a real heavy strain when only one person is doing that.
Absolutely correct.
And then it causes imbalance in the marriage. And so, and then it gets just unhealthy and toxic, and that starts going down that road. But I wanted to say something. You were talking a minute ago, and I'm not trying to divert, but I do want to say something to some of those people who are in marriages that they can never feel, either them or their spouse can never feel like they're wrong. They never feel like they're the ones making the mistake, or their mindset is almost an idol because it's their way or the highway. And it usurps God's method and plan for humility, openness, and brokenness, and self-aware. So you can't even be self-aware because you just got to be right. And when you have that mindset, and when you have that that sort of foundation that, well, it's what I say, and she or he is always wrong, and she just doesn't listen, and I told her or him to do that, and you can never see where you're in the fault, your marriage will never go anywhere. It will stay stagnant, and you will always be unhappy. And for those of you that are in marriages that you probably feel stuck because one person is kind of there to be open and transparent, but the other one isn't quite there yet. I just want to say, for a second, hold on a little longer. Just hold on a second, because if you begin to ask God to show you, help me to look at that. I know that they're looking at it very differently, but help me to see them, Lord, the way you see them, so that my frustration goes down, right? You'll help me navigate what they're doing, and I'm going to pray that you're going to work on them, along with actions. Sometimes, too, although the other party could be very mean and nasty, sometimes just listening to them. What is it that they're saying, that they're trying to get across? They're not doing it in a healthy way. But if you don't put your defense walls up and you maybe start to listen instead of being defensive, sometimes God works through those really tiny doors. And it's hard. I'm not even going to say it's easy. It's very difficult to do. But I do believe that God will begin to speak to you when you have a really difficult spouse. If you just sort of hone in on certain things. So it's a difficult place to be. And a lot of the things that Tim and I are talking about, it's really helpful when both parties are acting in the same way. But when one person is acting in this sort of godly way and the other isn't, it's very difficult. So I just wanted to make sure that you know that I know that there are couples out there that both are not on the same page. But patience says, if they are willing and if they are open, they will get on the same page, because everybody's walk is at a different pace.
Right.
It's at a different pace. And I just believe that God will, like Tim spoke earlier, keep filling those buckets up. But for you that is maybe the more stronger Christian, ask the Lord, listen to me clearly, ask the Lord to show you how to see them the way you see them. And ask the Lord to give you the grace to hear them, even when it's rough for now, until he can guide you on how to navigate that. Because that can be very disheartening, and it can be very just not an easy footpath to walk when both aren't on the same page. That's just that. I just want to acknowledge that. I know that is there. And many times Tim and I were not on the same page, and it took work to get there. And we are now, but we started to use simple tools. Yeah. And he'd been in counseling for, I'd say he's the most counseling person. He's been there because he wanted to do the work. He put in 20 years of work because he wanted this to work, and he wanted to work on his own things. So, he wanted to do his own personal work. So I just want to know, again, a lot of the things that we're talking about is very helpful when both parties are on the same page, but when they are not, I know it's slightly difficult, but just hold on for a second and turn your maybe complaint, and I'm not saying it's not rightfully so, but switch that complaint and that frustration and be very intentional about your prayer and ask the Lord to show you something very specific about your spouse so that he can start to reveal to you how to handle it.
So I'm just over here with like a little grin on my face because the last, whatever that was just now, 3 to 5 minutes that Juliet was talking, I hope you were listening because my wife has a very strong word of knowledge gift. And when she goes in that detailed, it's probably for somebody in this room. She was probably talking to you, or she was definitely talking to somebody that's going to be watching. I just want to speak to the counseling, and then I know we have to wrap up.
Yeah, for sure.
I came into the marriage, and this will be one of the weekends that we unpack as well, but I came into the marriage with a lot of baggage. It's not that Juliet didn't come in with her own issues. I just came in with very traumatic issues that would jeopardize the marriage. And my commitment was to the vows that I took, but my commitment was also to getting all the help that I could get to show up and be the type of husband that you prayed for.
For sure.
And I never gave up on that.
No, you didn't.
And I made it a part of my life to not only get a handle on my shortcomings, but get to the root of it so that I can break a generational curse and establish a generational blessing. I say that all to say that I am big on counseling.
Yes.
For an individual.
Correct.
In a marriage. A lot of times we think, well, we just need marriage counseling. But sometimes one of the spouses needs their own counseling.
That's right.
Because if you would just go get your stuff sorted through.
That's right.
You would be a better wife. You would be a better spouse. You would be a better husband. And so I'm a stickler for that. Mm-hmm. Always have been. And the reason why I'm passionate about it, and I get, Juliet knows this about me, I get very frustrated if we get in a counseling where a spouse seems to be unwilling to do their work.
Oh my goodness.
I get mad.
Fire. Especially if the male in the spouse is just...
I don't know what to do with a man that won't do his work.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what to do with that type of man.
Oh yeah.
And that
fire.
So God actually uses those situations to test my patience, cause.
And the reason why you're saying that is because to any woman, I'm pretty sure I could speak to every woman in this room and who's watching. And if you don't relate to this as a woman, that's fine too. But I don't know any woman that wants a weak man. And I'm not even talking about weak in stature or strength. I'm talking about weak in your ability to want to do whatever it takes,
weak.
Emotionally weak, or just, every woman wants a strong man, again, not necessarily physically, but is able to say, you know what, I was wrong. Let me get help in this area, or I was this. That is so attractive to women. That is so attractive. And when we counsel men that are just like, I just don't know, I just giving up. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, where did you find him? Throw him back in the lake, but that's, listen, this is people, right? And we're all in different stages and we're all in different phases. And God walks with each and every one of us. He walks with the weak ones.
That's right.
And he walks with the strong ones. And he walks with the counseled ones. And he walks with the uncounseled. And that's what God does because he loves us so much in every area and every stage of our life. And he loves you and he loves your marriage. And we are going to wrap up this session of Unpacked for now until we come back next week. We're going to have way more for you, sweetheart. Was there anything else you wanted to get off your chest?
I love you.
Was that good? You're good?
I love you.
Okay, I love you too.
Okay.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. Listen, we have so much more. We're going to be here again next week, Wednesday, for another episode live from Sunday service to unpack more of Unpack the Vows, or Upset the Vows. Unpacking, we're going to unpack those vows.
Unpack them,
But we want you to join in. We want you to get your friends, call your single people if they want to get married. Anybody you know that's engaged, anybody that you know that maybe need this or needs help, or if they're too scared, just shoot them a link, okay? But invite your friends, get the popcorn, and I want you to ask questions. We're gonna do something new. We're also gonna be answering some Q&A. So we're gonna have an unpacked Q&A sessions where we wanna hear questions from you about your marriage. We're gonna try to get to as many of them as we can, but we're gonna answer some questions here. Tim and I are gonna be here, and we're gonna have another segment, so you'll see them throughout Facebook, throughout YouTube, just some little snippets of whatever you all are asking, we're going to do our best to answer. We're going to see what God is going to do. And we want to hear prayer requests. And we also want to hear if God is doing things in your marriage. What is this series unpacking and unveiling in your marriage for you and for your spouse? So would you join us in emailing Unpacked at Embassy? You can text Upset the Vow to 94,000. Listen, we want to hear from you, and we want to know what God's doing in your life. Until next week, we love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining us.